We are coming at you live from 2 Mississippi Museum. Sorry, I got a little frog in the throat before the end of the last segment. Just needed a little water, and on the remote here, don't have a cough button, so had to go excuse myself for that. But I'm good. I'm not sick. Just a little frog in the throat. All right, we've got Adjutant General of the Mississippi National Guard, Jansen Boyles. I know him, of course, as Durr, as we have for so many years. We've been friends, and I appreciate you coming out today. We've got Veterans Day right around the corner next Thursday. And we've got a slate of events scheduled for that as well. We should, to honor our veterans, and I know you will be involved in that, delivering a keynote, right?
Gerard, I will. We try to highlight 2 events. One is down at Shelby, where the National Guard will have their event, and I'm typically the speaker there. But mostly just giving an update to the veterans who've served in the National Guard. They always like to come and hear what's going on with the National Guard. So
yeah.
That's, so you call it keynote, but it's really what I would call an update for
okay,
folks.
I got you.
And then I'll be here for the National Guard Association event on the 10th of November here in Jackson.
Is that a national event?
The National Guard Association for Mississippi.
Okay, yeah. All right. And you said the 10th. That's next 10th?
That'll be the 10th.
The day before.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
Correct.
Awesome.
Correct.
So it is important, is it not, General, that we continue to not only honor our veterans, but to take care of them. And we had Colonel McDaniel Allen, of course, on earlier in the show. It's important. And how can we ever do enough for these men and women who serve their country? It just seems like that we get busy with our I'm guilty of it. We all are. We get busy with our routines, our way of life, our daily lives, taking care of our families and so forth. But we can't forget about these folks.
No, and it's great to have a day where we can just recognize not only the folks who are currently serving, but the men and women who have served in the past. This military organization that we have, Gerard, is the preeminent organization in the world. I mean, we travel to other countries, and they look to us for how we do business. We're an example for all these other militaries in the world, and the men and women who have served have set that example. I can just simply say I'm proud to have served with the folks that came before me. There's some great leaders that I have had the pleasure of knowing that have sort of formed me into who I am.
Yeah.
So.
It's got to be rewarding as a leader to know that you are supported by so many fine individuals throughout the ranks that share your passion, your love of country, and it's important that they work together as a cohesive unit. But I know you, Durr, General, and you try not to make it about you. You make it about them. And every time we talk, I can sense that. And I respect you and am grateful. Hopefully that resonates throughout the ranks, that they see that, because they're following your lead in that respect.
I'd say that. I think, I think I've used the term servant leadership before. I often make the example that while there are men and women underneath me who work directly for me and they execute the orders and decisions that I make,
yeah,
I spend as much time out in the field talking to the enlisted E4s and E1s
sure.
and E2s, and I feel like that's who I work for. And an example of that, Gerard, is back during the COVID response. I made a point to just go from site to site each day to find out what those young men and women needed. And then I'd come back and I'd tell my guys, make it happen.
Sure.
So
they know that and they sense that, and that makes them even more committed, more motivated. Whether it's the military or it's business, if those folks that are truly producing the work throughout the organization down in the ranks, if they don't feel like leadership has their back and is attending to their needs, they don't perform as well. Conversely, when they do feel like that's the case, they're just more motivated. They kick butts what they do.
And I think it goes back to what I said earlier. I've had the benefit of following great leaders in this organization. I could just take up all our time naming them.
Yeah.
And each of them brings a different element to the formation. But I will say to the man and to the woman, they've all taught me that that's the way you do business in the Mississippi National Guard. You work for those young men and women who are out there doing the hard work.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
All right, the museums here. You been through them?
I have. It's a great museum, and I like the fact that we have both sides here to go through. So it's a great facility.
They do a great job, and it is such, I think, an asset for the state of Mississippi. Is there any connection with the National Guard, General, in the museums? Have you guys been involved in any events or just integrated in any way?
Well, we have a number of events here. The National Guard Association actually likes to use this facility, and the National Guard Association, who you had Alan McDaniel on earlier, is our association that interacts with government and businesses on behalf of the military part of the National Guard.
Okay.
And so they will have functions here that support what we do.
Yep.
And we've got stories of men and women who've served in the Guard all throughout this building.
Yeah, it's awesome. And what about upcoming events for the National? So I know this past year you guys did you went to California, and
busy.
I know, and that's every 2 years. Do you go? How often do you do that?
Well, so two things, if I may.
Okay, sure.
So you mentioned California. So that is called the National Training Center, and we're one of 5 states that has an armored brigade combat team with tanks.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
There are other formations in the National Guard, but they are infantry brigade combat teams.
Okay.
They have Bradleys and other forms of equipment. Every 5 years, we go to National Training Center in California, and we hone our skills out there in maneuvering tanks at the company and battalion level against a near-peer competitor, which, would be a Soviet or a Russian or a China kind of scenario. So we just got back from doing that this past summer. And so now we will go into a reset where everybody focuses on their individual training, going to schools and learning how to do their job individually better. And then they'll start building towards another event out in California in 5 years. And that's where the cycle. And if you do your math, there are 5 ABCTs in the National Guard. So every 5 years, one of those ABCTs goes to California.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a rotational sort of basis.
It is.
That.
But I want to highlight also this COVID response. I want to give you the story of just one unit real quickly.
Yeah.
The 112th MPs up in Canton, this battalion headquarters up there with 3 companies. They go on a deployment back in 19 and 20. They get back from deployment and they go into the COVID response in March and April of 20.
Yeah.
They take a break and go help with the inauguration up in Washington.
Okay.
Come back and do more COVID work. And then they finish up in August, and we'd tell them to go down to Louisiana and help Louisiana with Ida.
The hurricane, yeah.
So that's just one example of how much work these young National Guard women and men are doing.
And these are people that volunteer for this. They come out of the private sector for the most part. They're not necessarily career military people. They do this just to serve their country and because they have a calling and a passion for it.
And I think that's an advantage. Take the military police, for example. I mean, about 2/3 of our formation, they do policing work in their full-time jobs.
Okay.
So they're taking those skill sets down to Louisiana with them to help with traffic control and security of buildings and how it's second nature to them what they do. So they take their civilian skills and really translate them into a military operation.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
How many are in the National Guard in Mississippi?
So we have a total of 12,500. About 2,500 of those are Air Force. The other 10 would be Army.
Pretty big Air Force unit at our airport here.
It is. The 172nd over at Allen Thompson.
Yep.
And they've done some heavy lifting this year. They were involved in the exit out of Afghanistan, believe it or not.
I didn't know that.
And so it makes me proud to see those planes coming in. A lot of times we think they're just doing touch and goes around Jackson.
Yeah,
but
practicing.
A lot of time that plane is coming in from overseas.
I didn't know that.
Mission. Sure.
Well, I'm glad to know that because I'll admit, typically when I see those big guys flying around, that's what I'm thinking is that they're just practicing doing touch and goes. But you're saying that often they're transporting troops.
They are.
I'll look at it different.
Good. Very good.
Appreciate that. So we're going to come back. We've got more to talk about with Adjutant General of the Mississippi National Guard, Jansen Boyles. Stay with us. Middays. We'll be right back. We're talking to the Adjutant General of the Mississippi National Guard, Jansen Boyles. So, General, next week, the Veterans Day program slated for Wednesday, November the 10th. Give us a little overview of that, if you would, sir.
Well, I get to speak, and had the pleasure of speaking last week. We will honor a Gold Star family while we're there. But it's just an opportunity for, I like to highlight the Guard and what the Guard's doing, but it's really an opportunity for all the veterans in this area to come together and, from all the services who've made a difference to come together and just sort of interact. And we'll say a few words to them about, patriotism and thanking them for their service. So. Will
you see veterans representing, I guess, the spectrum of all the wars and the conflicts we've been involved in?
You do. I don't know that we'll have a World War II veteran there, but I've always seen a good many Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
And we'll have probably a sprinkling of Korea veterans there. Yeah. But they're getting older also.
Yeah.
We're starting to lose those veterans. But yes, Navy, Marine, Army, Air Force, you see all flavors, Coast Guard, you see them all at that event.
And this is about honoring them, obviously, the special honor of a Gold Star family. This is really the purpose of the event.
Well, it is. That's part of it.
Okay.
But we do spend a lot of time honoring the sacrifice that Gold Star family has made
Sure.
and the soldier has made also. And so it's a good flavor, and I think there's an element of the veterans who are there want to do that also. The veterans who have served and given their time and their time to the freedom and prosperity of our country, that they want to pay respects to those Gold Star families.
Is for some of them, is it a reunion? Do veterans come together, see other veterans that maybe they haven't seen over the year or even in past years?
It is. I mean, this community, and it's not just Hinds County, but it's Madison and Rankin. A lot of these veterans in this community, we know each other.
Sure.
We know who've served.
It's the bond.
Know them by name, and regardless of the age, we interact and we're close. And so it's just really an opportunity for us to have an event to come together and see each other. Sometimes it's just once a year.
Yeah.
Where I see some of
that's what I was wondering.
The minimum here.
Yeah.
So it's a good event for that. It really is.
The something that I'll just point out just from a personal perspective is you and I, of course, were kids when the Vietnam situation was going on.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say we didn't treat them the way they should have been treated when they returned to their country. That seems to have changed quite a bit. Do you not think, General, the attitude of the public, of Americans toward those that served in Vietnam, which was really just a nasty war?
I think so, Gerard. I can give you just one example. We had a unit that came home from Desert Storm, and they had some Vietnam veterans in that unit. And the commander told me, he was a company commander, captain, had some old crusty NCOs there with him, and he let them be the first ones off the bus.
Wow.
So they could get the homecoming they didn't get when they were in Vietnam.
Wow.
This is a National Guard unit. But I'll say this, and I think my peer group would agree with this. The 2, the 3, the 4-star generals, and the senior leaders in the active duty and the Guard, and that is that I'm a better soldier and leader because of the Vietnam veterans who mentored me.
Sure.
And I think a lot of your 4 and 3 and 2 stars will tell you that are serving right now. I could call you several names of people who inspired me that had served in.
Well, that's good
Vietnam.
to hear.
Yeah.
Good to know, because I just can't. I don't think I could ever erase those images of the way so many of those were treated, and they were just going off to do what members of the armed forces do. They're called. They serve their country. They do what they're told to do.
Correct.
They do it to their best of their ability, and we shouldn't tie them up in what essentially is the politics of it.
And I'll just simply say, regardless of how they were treated, the legacy of their service survives through us.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
That's what I would tell you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that and glad to know that. It's just always been a concern, I guess, as I've aged. I'm just thinking about through that because the first war we ever saw on television, essentially, and you can't get those images out. Now, since then, the conflicts we've had in the Middle East, those have all been broadcast, quite heavily in a number of different media sources. And I certainly don't mean to discount their service as well in calling attention to Vietnam. A lot of those folks came back, lost limbs, the veterans that are alive today, and had really bad experiences, and we got to take care of them.
Yeah. And I'd say what's been good about the last 20 years in serving in the military is that the active component and the Guard and the reserves were not always a close-knitted group. But the last 20 years we have truly been working together, and I've got several active duty general officers who I have on speed dial because we developed relationships as lieutenant colonels and colonels, and I can speak for that. So I think that's a real takeaway from this last 20
years.
That's good
to hear.
Of what we've been doing.
And I got to believe that there's some knowledge transfer in both directions that could occur that would benefit all.
I would say I think the relationship with the active duty was challenging through Desert Storm in the early part of this 20-year period, but I think we have grown to learn each other's attributes that we bring to the table, and I think there is much respect on both sides of that.
That's great to hear. All right, so the event, the program next Wednesday, November 10th, where will that be?
So we have the program here at the museum. We like to do it outside in front if the weather cooperates, but we also have a plan to do it inside if it doesn't. But it's right here at the museum, and it's easy to get to. There's plenty of parking. I hope that a lot of folks will come join us and be part of it. And
you'll have a key role in that as well. And, certainly I think it's a great deal to take care of the Gold Star family and recognize that service as well, and for you to be involved in that, General. That I know that's important to the family, and that's the ultimate sacrifice, as we say. And we are so grateful as a nation and as a people to those who do that. I don't. Words seem so inadequate, honestly. But it's the least we can do, and I think to carve out a day like this and have a program of recognition is really special. And on behalf of all Mississippians, we are grateful for that. We are thankful for that, and we are proud at SuperTalk to be part of recognizing this event a few days before it occurs, and to be in these museums, which I think is just a fantastic Mississippi treasure and Mississippi asset. And I'm glad to know the way that veterans are sort of integrated into the experience in here as well.
Yeah, whether they're retired or whether they're currently serving in the Guard, for example, or even on active duty, we're just part of the fabric of the community.
Yeah, a big part. It's the Museum of Mississippi History.
Yeah.
You can't exclude that from part of our history.
Absolutely
Such a key part of it. And these things are great. The family's good for you?
Yeah. Talking about my family?
Yeah, your family.
Yeah, we're doing fine. Boys have grown up, you know that.
Yeah.
And we're staying busy and balancing family with the military life. It's something all these veterans have to do.
Yeah.
And but we're going well. Robin's doing well. Thank you for asking.
Good. Yeah, appreciate that. So this is my wife's birthday.
Julie's birthday.
Yeah, it's Julie's birthday.
Good.
So I think she's listening in and all. Well,
and you're here at work.
I'm here at work. Yeah, we're doing something tonight though. We're not.
Good, okay.
We're not forgetting that.
Well, great.
You don't forget that sort of stuff. At one time, if you do, that's it. Of course,
I get it.
I
get it.
Never have been out of town working often.
Yeah.
Not my choice, but you have to do what you have to do.
But Gerard, Robin's birthday is Monday the 8th.
Oh, really?
So we share.
How about that? Same month.
We share the November birthdays.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So what's on tap for the Guard in the next few months and in the next year?
Yeah, so we've been very busy the last 2 years, really, really busy. And so this next year, 2022, we've sort of scheduled our soldiers and airmen to really focus on their individual training, get their individual status improved. And then in 2023, we'll start sending people back out the door. We've got probably as many as 2,000 going out the door in 2023. And so we're gearing up for that also.
We got just about a minute left. How's the recruiting going?
Recruiting's great. It really is. We struggled a little bit because we didn't have the touch with the students in high schools because high schools were down for COVID.
Yeah. Yep.
But we came back with a vengeance in October this year, and so doing very well. What's interesting is recruiting was important, but retention carried the day for us.
I got you.
Because we didn't have people getting out this year.
Yeah. So glad to hear that, and so good to see you, of course, General, and appreciate your service to our country and to Mississippi and for your leadership and all you do. Good to see you today.
Thank you, Gerard. Appreciate it. Always good to be here.
You bet. We'll be right back with more here on Middays. Stay